Welcome to the AP Physics lecture. This is on the law of motion. Here we're going to talk about compound bodies, part 1. Compound bodies are when there are two or more masses experiencing the same motion. Same motion means that the acceleration for this system is going to be the same for all the blocks. The three masses are shown to each other with strings that are being pulled to the right by another string, exerting by a tension of 24 newtons. If you look at all the force acting on this object, if you add all the force vectors to an object, it introduces a lot of complexity issues here. However, the object is only moving in the horizontal direction, so all the vertical forces here cancel out. They're both opposite and equal due to Newton's third law. They cancel each other's out. The only forces that we are looking is in the horizontal. Notice that the normal force and the weight for all these masses are increasing in its vector. Why? Because the masses are increasing. So the 2 kilograms have a length this much. 4 is going to be when the vector is doubled, and the vector triples when it's 6 kilograms. All right. The normal force and the weight both have the same arrow size. It shows that they're both have the same magnitude, right? So the normal force and the weight cancels out. It should look something like this. The internal forces here are the forces that act between the object inside the compound body. Here, the internal forces are tension A, and which is in between mass 1 and mass 2. And tension B, which is on mass 2 and mass 3. Sometimes you might see it look like this in some textbooks. You might see this as tension 2 on 3. So it looks like that. And this is, 1 on 2. This is 2 on 1. This is going to be tension force on object 2 on 3. So backwards, it's going to be 3 on 2. In external forces are the force acting on the entire compound. So this would be the external force. And that is the overall tension of the 24 newtons that is pulling the 3 objects to the right. There's 2 ways to look at this. Is to either look at it at the object level, which is just working on each object individually, then substituting that in, or you could treat it as a system. That means you treat the whole object as one mass, and you look at the system by itself. Some variables are best to be solved by summing the forces for individual objects, while other variables are best solved by summing forces for the system. The first way I'm going to approach this is using the object method. So I will sum the forces for each object separately. So the first force, there's only one arrow, which is T of A. For mass 2, there's 2 arrows, there's 2 forces. There's T of B going to the right, and T of A is going to the left, so I'm going to subtract it. And the third one has T, which is 24. You're going to subtract that to T of B. Substitute it in, because each has its own individual mass and acceleration. Now you have 3 equations with 3 missing variables. So it becomes a systems of equation now. So you have to substitute to get rid of it. Here's some substitution. That is what TA equals to. Now you could solve for what the tension force is. Substitute that back in there to get the new acceleration. And you see that T is a sum of the mass times the acceleration for the first object plus the mass times the acceleration for the second object plus the mass by the third object times its acceleration. Okay. Please notice that all objects are moving together. Therefore, the acceleration 1 is equal to acceleration 2, which is the acceleration 3, which is equal to the system's acceleration. So here you could see that you can just write it as system acceleration because the block move in the same direction, so it all has to have the same acceleration. So here Plug in the values, you get A equals to 2 meters per second squared. This is one way you could do it. Or you can treat it as one large object, or a system in this case. So now we're going to try to add these using the system method. Understand that when we do the systems method, all the internal forces, the tension A and tension B that are opposite and equal, they cancel. So these two will cancel out. The only thing left is this. The summation of the forces equals to T. U becomes masses times acis. It's going to make more sense if I pull it up on Paint and show it to you. Give me a moment where I pull this up on Paint. So this is how the acceleration looks like. The fact that this cancels, imagine that I'm sliding this block here. Then I slide this block here. Right? So the 2, 4, and 6 kilograms are the same thing, and the only force is acting on it is the tension force, which is going to the right. That is equal to 24 newtons. That is what it looks like when you treat it as a system. So there you go. It's M1 plus M2 plus M3. That's how it looks like. Right here. Plug in the values, then divide. You get the same answer. Okay? Here, you should see that there is an easy method. Both methods work, but one is clearly easier. The systems method. Here's some conceptual checks for you to understand. A block of mass M and a block of mass 3m are connected by a horizontal string, as shown above. The block are held with the string horizontally and are released from rest at the same time from height h above the ground. How does the acceleration of the center of mass and of the system compared to the acceleration of the object of mass m? The question is wordy. All it's asking you is, how is the A of the sys compare to the A of M1 or M2? And we saw that A sys is equal to A1 is equal to A2 for any of them. So it says here, the acceleration of the center of mass is the same as the acceleration for the objects of mass m. Doesn't change. 2. A block of M1, it collides with a block of mass M2 such that the block of mass M1 becomes at rest. So in the final picture, let's see here. If I bring this up in Paint, I can show it to you. So it hits. So this is how it looks like. Then it hits. When it hits, this takes place right here. Okay, this goes away. This is at rest. Then M2. What is the coefficient of friction between block of mass 2 and the friction force K? Then this is on the friction surface here, so it should be something like this. Oop. Like that. This is now on the friction surface. Right? So that's how it looks like. Okay? So M2 slides across the surface as it travels at a constant speed towards the friction surface, as shown here. The coefficient of friction between mass 2 and the friction surface is mu k. That is the coefficient of kinetic friction. What is the rate of change of the speed of the surface of the mass of the two blocks after the block of M2 enters the frictionless surface? All right. So it wants to look at the two mass system. Please understand that. So the first part here is looking at the keyword, what is the rate of change of speed? The rate of change of speed is the acceleration. That's what it's looking for. Okay, what is the rate of change of the speed? It's looking for the acceleration. Then next, the crucial part here, it says that it's looking for the mass of the 2-block system. So you're going to look at the 2-block system. All right. So let's set up the equation. A cis is equal to the summation of all the forces in the system divided by the mass of the system. We saw that on top, the only force that is left here is the force of friction. The only thing here is the force of friction on M2. That's the friction force. There's no force going to the right. There's no force up and there's the force up and down, but those cancel. Okay, so the only force left here is this. This object is at rest. So there's no, all the forces balance for M1. So the only force here is the friction force, which is on top, divided by the mass of the system, because it says the center of the mass of the 2-block system. So substituting it in, that's what you get. Mu K is the, this force of friction by definition is fun, so it's mu N. The normal force is going to just be mg, and this is on the second mass. So that's how they got that value, okay? And it's mu K because it's static friction. So the answer would be D. Let's take a look at this scenario here. Now it asks us to find the force of each object, right? To find the force of each object, you go back and substitute it in. Please notice that the A here can be looked at the A of the cis, but they don't write A cis, they just write A. Notice that all of these have the same acceleration. Multiplying it, this makes sense. This will have a force of 4 newtons because 2 times 2 is 4. This will have a force of 8 newtons, and this has a force of 12 newtons, right? If we add this together, 4 newtons plus 8 newtons plus 12 newtons, that should be equal to 24 newtons, which is what it says right here. Now we're going to solve for the internal forces. So now we're going to look at the tension. So we will look at the tension. So let's look at the calculation between each of the forces. So the tension force for the first one is going to be just be TA, which is just your mass times acceleration. So your T here would just be 4. The tension here is going to be 4 newtons. While here it was 6. So this has a tension force of let's see, 12 newtons, right? So this has 2 forces that are subtracting from each other, right? Okay. And TB was 12. So this is TB, which is 12, and this is TA. So what is 12 minus? So this is TB minus TA, which is equal to 12 minus 4, which is equal to 8. So this should be 8 newtons. Okay, which makes sense. 4 times 2 is 8. Now we pull the object. Now we're going to push the object. Now the masses are being pushed by the 24 Newton force. It's the same process. There's no more string, but it's still compound forces. The time that the internal forces will still be the normal force due to the surface of the object pressing against each other. So that means there's still forces interacting here, right? There's still forces here, right? You have force on 1 on 2, and here this is force is 2 on 1. There's a force pushing to the right, which is 2 on 3, and there's a force pushing to the left, which is 3 on 2. We can treat this as one object, so we add the masses together. We do force of the system equals to the force, and in this case it's the mass of the system times the acceleration of the system, but they don't write A cis here, they just write A. Mass of the system is m1 plus m2 plus m3, which is just 12. The force here was 24, so if you divide it over, it gets you 2 meters per second. This is the same thing as before. Pushing and pulling with the same force on an object get you the same amount of acceleration. The magnitude might be different though. Now, if we look at each individual object, it's the same thing. We just multiply it to each. So force here, right? The acceleration we saw was 2 meters per second squared. So it's 2 times 2, which is 4 newtons. Same thing here. 4 times 2 gets you 8 newtons. And here, this makes sense. 6 times 2 gets you 12 newtons. We saw that in total, 4 newtons plus 8 newtons plus 12 newtons equals to 24 newtons. That makes sense because it's going to go to the right with 24 newtons force. Here, I decided to give you the internal forces that are acting on each other. Right? That's what I drew from before. Notice that these objects right here are longer, okay, because they're acting on each other more. And here, this is smaller. Okay, and this just depends on the mass. Please understand here that N1 is equal the normal force that's acting on each other. On 1 on 2 is the same thing as 2 on 1. This is due to Newton's third law. These are action-reaction pairs. They are equal in force, just in the opposite direction. The normal force 2 on 3 is the same thing as 3 on 2. This means you do not need to solve for all 4 forces. You just need to solve for one force here. In this case, we can solve it here. Right? We saw that it's the 24, which is going to the right, which is right here. And then we can just subtract it here. 24 minus 24, 1. The mass and the acceleration for this system is 2 times 2, so it becomes 4. So the normal force here, which is 20 newtons. Right? This is going to be 12 newtons. So this has to be 8. Okay? How do we get that again? You're just multiplying the acceleration in here, right? But you have to subtract it by the force. So, right, if it's going to the right at 24 newtons, and then you have a 4 newton force here, so this is 2 times 2, right? 2 times 2, which is 4 newtons. And you have a 24 newton force. So it's subtraction. So this is your subtraction. So think about this. This is to the left. This is to the right. And this M1 plus M2 is also going to the right. Okay? That's why the normal force is the subtraction. Good? Same thing for the other ones. This is why the normal force is larger here. Right? The contact between the objects, and it gets less and this is the second to largest. And here's something interesting. It's the middle object that has the least internal force. Okay, and we saw that it was 8 here. Here's some different situations for the block and for how we got the calculation. So we saw that A of the system here was just equals to the force divided by the mass. There's only one mass. Here, when there's 2 on a frictionless surface, we just make sure we add the second mass to the bottom of the of that, because again, this is mass system. Likewise, this is again mass system. Nothing changed. The hard part is what happens when we add force of friction. So this is the force of friction part. And the friction part is because mu is equal, because friction, F is fun, mu N. And N is mg. Mg, but the M is the system's mass, the G and the mu's right there. Okay? So that's everything that you need to know for the first part of the compound bodies.